Have you been trying to grow your chest, but despite your hard work, you're frustrated with the slow progress? In today's video, I will give you 3 foolproof tips that will accelerate your chest growth, backed by science. It's time to act and stop wasting time and start building your dream chest today. Welcome back to another video. I'm Brendan Martinez. I'm currently getting my doctorate in physical therapy. Like I just mentioned, we're going to be going over 3 tips that are going to help accelerate your chest growth and help you start finally seeing progress. These tips are going to increase in importance throughout the video, so make sure you stick around till the end because that can make the difference between you finally seeing the progress you want or staying where you're at. I'm also going to tell you exactly how you can implement these tips into your workout routine. So let's get started. However, before we jump into the tips, let's do a quick anatomy review because it's essential you understand how the chest is made up, so then you can understand why these tips are important. Your chest is made up of 2 big muscles. You have your pec major and your pec minor. More specifically, let's talk about the pec major. Your pec major is more superficial out of the 2, meaning it's on the outermost part of your chest, and then it also has 2 heads. You have your sternal head and your clavicular head, also referred to as your lower and upper chest respectively. Your sternal head, or your lower chest, adducts your humerus to midline, which is when you're bringing your arm across your chest. Conversely, your clavicular head, or your upper chest, flexes the humerus, which is when you bring your arm up towards the ceiling. Then the function of the chest as a whole is humerus adduction, once again bringing that arm towards midline, and also internal rotation. Now that we've discussed the anatomy of the chest and how you can bias your upper versus lower chest, let's jump into tip number 1, which is training both the sternal and clavicular heads of your pec major. Like we just covered in the anatomy review, depending on the angle that you move your arm forward, you can bias different muscle fibers of the pec major itself. Because of this, there are 3 categories of chest exercises that you can perform, and they are incline, decline, and flat pressing. Incline pressing will target your upper chest or your clavicular head, whereas decline pressing will target your lower chest or your sternal head, and then any flat pressing exercise is going to target a combination of both. Now, once again, this concept may be new to some people, so I'm going to give you 3 exercises that you can bias your upper chest versus your lower chest that you can start incorporating into your workout routine today. 3 exercises that will directly target your upper chest will be incline barbell bench, incline chest flies, and low to high cable flies. Then conversely, 3 exercises that will target your lower chest is decline bench press, high to low cable flies, and dips. In your workout routine, it's essential that you incorporate both types of pressing exercises if you want a full, well-developed chest. Make this small change and I promise you, you will not be sorry. That wraps up tip number 1. Let's jump into tip number 2, which is choosing the appropriate training intensity for your chest. Just like my other videos on back, calves, arms, every muscle group has an ideal intensity to train at to reap the most benefits. Now, this is going to vary person to person, and it depends on multiple variables, such as how long you've been training, your age, history of past injuries, and many other things. Keeping this in mind, the ideal number of sets per week to perform when I was looking at the research is between 10 to 20 sets. And once again, this heavily varies person to person and also varies depending on the source you find, but this 10 to 20 set per week range is a great goal, and it's something you should shoot for to make sure you're choosing an appropriate intensity for your chest. This is a common mistake I see a lot of new lifters making, and frankly, if you're not training your chest enough, you're just not going to see the results. You need to make sure that you're showing your chest enough attention, and if you incorporate this tip with the first tip that we covered, I promise you, you are going to start seeing results. That wraps up tip number 2, and let's jump into the final tip, and in my opinion, it is by far the most important, which is to stop ego lifting. If you couldn't tell from that intro, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, and this is something that you'll see throughout the entire spectrum of the gym in both experienced and beginner lifters. Ego lifting not only heavily increases your risk of injury, but it also decreases the stimulus put on your chest, which will ultimately decrease the amount of results you'll see. An example of ego lifting is commonly seen during bench press. You see a lot of people drop the weight back down after completing a rep and almost try to bounce it off of their chest using acceleration to get the next rep up. This significantly decreases the amount of work that your chest is doing and also recruits other muscles such as your anterior deltoid to really help get that weight up, and it's going to decrease the time under tension for your chest. And this is something that I covered in other videos, but time under tension directly relates to muscle hypertrophy. You'd be much better off lowering the weight and doing nice, slow, and controlled reps, and I promise you this will take you so much further than ego lifting. A common sign you may be ego lifting is when you're performing partial range of motion. And I just want to give a disclaimer, some people, especially older individuals, don't have full range of motion. So for them, they are doing full range of motion. But what I'm talking about is during the bench press, when you see people stopping 5 inches off of their chest and they have the full range of motion, that's doing partials. This often occurs because the weight you chose is way too high, and if you were to do full range of motion, you wouldn't be able to complete the rep. And if this is the case, it's an easy fix. Like I just mentioned, just lower the weight, focus on your forearm and control, and it's going to take you 10 times further than ego lifting. If you incorporate all 3 of the tips covered in today's video, I promise you're going to start finally seeing the results you've been chasing after, and it's going to accelerate your chest growth. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And also don't forget to hit push notifications to make sure you never miss an upload. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video.